Get into it. What's up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and I am here today with the review for Rated to Love Season 8, Episode 2. The episode is titled, It's Getting Thot in Here, you guys. So before we jump into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's go ahead and discuss Rated to Love, shall we? All right, you guys. So before I even get into this, because I just want to point this out, I said this last week on my, Twitter, and I know I said it before the episode even premiered. So this is strictly to the cast of Rated to Love Dallas, right? So if you guys find my tweets, if you guys find my videos, I want to say this right here, right now, because there's a particular cast member who got offended by something that I tweeted about them last night. And the thing is, you looked at that, you found that one tweet, and you had people, come for me, which I'm cool with it, right? I ain't tripping about it. But you saw that one tweet, but you overlooked the tweets where I actually said something very positive about you, that you're a beautiful woman. Because I think you're a beautiful woman, but y'all overlooked that tweet for another tweet. But okay, maybe it's because, never mind. Neither here nor there. But yeah, when it comes down to this, if you guys see this video or anything that I put on Twitter, please don't take anything to heart. Like, I don't know you guys. You don't know me. So anything that I'm saying, it might be shady. It's just in jest. I'm not coming at you guys maliciously. So yeah, let's just keep it at that. Like, if you guys, and also here's the thing, if you guys don't like what I say in the videos, the live, or on Twitter, my DMs are open. My DM is open on Instagram and on Twitter, so you can DM me either way it go. I don't care. Like, we can have a conversation. It's fine to me. But yeah, if you guys feel away, just say, hey, you made a comment. I didn't really like it. I mean, plenty of people in the past have done it. Plenty of people have DM'd me from Rated to Love over the years that I've been reviewing this show. So feel free to say, hey, I didn't like that. I don't agree with that. It's fine. And I'll have a conversation with you. So this episode, we picked up where we last left off, and that was with the elimination of, it was between Habibi and Brandon. Like I said in last week's live, I figured that Brandon was going to be the guy that went home, and the ladies decided to choose Brandon to go home. Now, I will say I was a little bit shocked that they sent Brandon home, but not that shocked, right? Because when you look at Brandon on paper versus Habibi on paper, technically, Habibi is that. I mean, if we are actually looking at them on paper, Habibi, in my personal opinion, is worse, right? Because Habibi is, culture jocking the Arab community. He done took a name from the Arab culture. Yeah. So Habibi, probably would have sent him home. But when you look at Brandon had, which the 4 kids is not the problem, right? I think the biggest problem for a lot of people was the fact that he was recently divorced from his ex-wife, and he had been divorced for 6 months at that point, right? So I think that was what the biggest issue was for a lot of the people, and I understand it. But like I just said, when you look at Habibi on paper, Habibi is just a little bit, in my personal opinion, worse than Brandon, right? So we see everyone as they are meeting up for brunch. So Tommy told them that this week, the ladies have the power to send one of you men home. So Quentin, he showed up to the brunch. He was excited to meet Janelle. Well, not meet Janelle, but see Janelle. So remember last week's episode, I told you guys that a lot of guys, they had connections they were feeling Janelle, right? I'm going to question why y'all were feeling Janelle a little bit later in this episode, but yeah. So, like I said, the ladies are sending one of the guys home this week, right? So at one point we saw Marvin. So Marvin was having a conversation with, I believe it was Lee and it was Jessica, right? So they were asking him about his profession and if it's like 50 Shades of Grey. Now here's my thing when it comes to that, right? I don't have an, you know, I've said it plenty of times before on the channel that I thought 50 Shades of Grey was boring. There is another book that I did read that I found very intriguing, but 50 Shades of Grey wasn't for me, right? But here's the thing. That type of stuff, BDSM and all that kind of stuff, is not for everybody. So what I will say though with some of the ladies, although I know that they were saying it wasn't for them, I will say some of them came off a little bit on the judgmental side. That is my personal opinion. If you guys disagree, let me know in the comment section. And for the cast, you can DM me. But yeah, I felt like some of the ladies were being a little judgmental when it came down to it. I think the only woman who doesn't have an issue with it is Unique. Unique, we saw Unique and she was having a conversation with him, and Unique's face lit up. I was like, oh, you like him, right? Her face lit up. She was a little shy and bashful. I was like, okay, I'm very surprised because you told Red that his job was a thought job, right? But this man is an erotic author. You don't think that's a thought job? Just asking. It's literally sex. Sex, 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 sex. But hey, it is what it is. So let's pause here and move forward, you guys. All right, you guys. Now, next up, Habibi. I, for the life of me, don't understand how any of the ladies can take him remotely serious, because when I look at Habibi in this episode, there were two things that struck my attention besides the turban, right? The other thing that's kind of I noticed in this episode looking at Habibi was his eyes. Like his eyes, this whole entire episode, they looked glazed over. It looked like he had, you know, smoked a blunt before he came there. That's literally what it looked like to me, right? So Habibi is, let me put this out here. These are my personal opinions. I think that Habibi is a cosplayer. I think he's a player, and I think he's an asshole, to be quite honest with you guys. And I can see right through him like, you know, like glass. So the way he comes off and talks to people, it would just be a no for me. He's it's just very assholish the way he talks to people, right? So we see Red. So Red had a conversation with Unique, right? And you guys remember last week's episode, Unique told him that his job was a thought job, but he's a comedian and a DJ, and you are a TV and film producer, right? So don't y'all kind of work in the same, not necessarily the same market, but I mean, if he's DJing something and you are, you know, there as a producer, then y'all are technically, well, actually, y'all are technically in the same industry, entertainment. And the entertainment industry here in Dallas is not the biggest, especially for black people. It's not that big, right? I mean, now here's the thing. He said he's a six-figure comedian. I ain't trying to be shady, but where? I've never heard of them. I feel like I've saw. So there are a few people on this show that I feel like I've saw their faces, right? I definitely feel like I've saw Red's face somewhere in Dallas, and I definitely feel like I've saw Quentin. I'm positive I saw Quentin somewhere. And that other guy whose name we couldn't pronounce last week, I came from, his name starts with a Mari, something like that. I feel like I've saw those three men before around Dallas. So yeah, back to Red. So Red felt the way about her calling his job a thought job, right? And she said that, you know, when I said it, she didn't mean it for him to take it to heart, right? I was like, but how else would a person take that when you calling their profession a thought job, right? I don't know how it was, but then he said, well, you know, since we're in the same industry, I guess I could call you a thought. She didn't call you a thought. So now here's the thing. I gotta defend her. She didn't call you a thought. She just said that your job was a thought job. So you can't call her a thought. And they ended that conversation. I was like, well, hey, y'all ain't got no connection with each other. And here's the other thing. Let's just get this out on the table right quick. How far into the process? How many weeks are we into this? Because, oh, my connection is strong with this person. My connection is strong. How? Actually, never mind. I know how. And this is one of the issues that I do have with Ready to Love is the fact that, you know, the fact that when it comes to Ready to Love, we don't see everything that happens behind camera. So then they want to come to YouTubers who review the show and be in our DMs, because I've had that plenty of times, right? And then They'll get to the reunion and they'll spill all the tea. It is what it is, and I honestly don't care, right? So let's pause here and move forward. All right, guys, so we got our first group date of the season. So this group date is one that Tequila put together, right? And she has Kira, Janelle, as well as Red, Habibi, and Phil, right? So immediately, Tequila, I'm so sorry, but I really be want to call that girl Tequila, but I know her name is Tequila, but it'd be on the tip of my tongue to say Tequila, and it's not to be shady, but it just really, literally be on the tip of my tongue to say Tequila. Never mind. Why not her mama just name her Tequila? I mean, that would have been easier because Tequila, Tequila. Y'all remember Tila Tequila? I know that's very random, but hey. Y'all remember Tila Tequila? I wonder what she's up to these days. Didn't she have a baby at one point? Never mind. So Tequila, she talked to Phil, and she's talking to Phil about their lack of connection, right? So Phil told her the reason why he pulled away from her is because of the initial conversation that they had about sex, her bringing up sex. And I was like, that. I said I knew that's what it was. I knew that was going to be an issue when she mentioned it last week, right? Here's the thing. I'm not a prude or nothing like that, and I think when it comes to sex, it shouldn't be the first topic. It shouldn't be the first thing you mention in getting to know somebody, right? It really shouldn't be. I would say, even with that, when it comes down to sex, you could ask that question maybe on the third or fourth date. Like maybe subtly slide it in, but on the first meetup, the first interaction you have with a person, you're asking them the wildest place they had sex and all that kind of stuff. It's not for me, right? So that's what his issue was with her, right? So Janelle, so when Janelle got there, Tequila asked her, has she made any connections? Who's her connection, right? She's like, oh, we getting right into it. But Janelle says that she's feeling, what's his name? Red, right? So then she talks to Habibi, and it was a little awkward interaction with them. And they noticed that with her and Habibi that there was a little, like I said, awkward tension, and they want to know what it was. She didn't speak on it, but we'll get it later on in the episode, right? So we then saw as they started playing whatever they were playing, right? And then Red was hugged all up on, what is her name? Is it Kira or is it Kiara? It's Kira, I believe, right? So he was all up on Kira, and she was given very much so 100% Camille vibes from Ready to Love. Was it DC or was it Potomac? I think it was DC. She was given that controlling stuff. He liked it. I'm like, why would, never mind. And that's not my business, right? So Habibi, I was absolutely correct about him. Asshole, right? So he was talking to Kira, or was he talking? No, he was talking to Tequila about his ex-girlfriends, and the fact that he wasn't faithful. And she asked him, well, why weren't you faithful? He said, well, in his last relationship, his girlfriend didn't suck dick. I was like, oh, okay. So you cheated on the girl because she didn't do that. But did she do it when you got in the relationship with her? Because if she did it when you got in a relationship with her and she stopped doing it, then what you should have did as a grown ass man, exit the relationship. Like exit. But no, we're going to cheat because that's so much easier than breaking off the relationship. Really. Really. Then at one point he said, I think he was talking to Kira. I'm gonna get these names, you guys. Kira, I think that's her name. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Yeah, because it's spelled Kira, so it's Kira. So he was talking to her at one point, and he was talking about how he said he's insecure, and she was like, "Oh, that's the end of the conversation." I was like, "Exactly." So we're gonna pause here and move forward. All right, you guys. So we have another group date, and this one is with Aries. So Aries has Jessica, Sierra, aka Akbar V, and Quentin, Chris, and Herbert over to her. I guess that was her house. So Akbar V. By the way, these are jokes, so don't take them seriously. This is a joke. But she actually really does look like Akbar V, and she's a pretty girl. Very pretty girl. What I will say about Sierra is when she put on that, I'm getting ahead of myself, but when she put on that wig, I was like, well, who is this? I mean, the wig really made her look like a different woman, and she looked even more beautiful with the wig than, with her short hair. Now, I got a question about the short hair. What color is that? Because the hair color is what kind of throws me off. I don't know if is it platinum blonde or if is it gray, white. What is the hair color? Just have a question about that. So Sierra asked Herbert if he believes in sex before marriage, and he said yes. Now, see, here's another thing about sex. I don't really necessarily like bringing up sex right away, but I mean, this isn't as bad as Tequila asking, the riskiest place you've had sex. She's just asking the question of, do you believe in sex before marriage? But for me personally, I do think you should table that sex conversation because especially with this show and with this process, like things twist, turn, and shift. So I necessarily wouldn't ask that question in this process, right? If it was somebody that I was getting to know and everything, then yes, but this is a fast-paced situation. This is a fast-paced, a heightened version of speed dating, right? So for me, I don't know if I would ask that question right away, but hey, it's neither here nor there, right? But he answered the question. He said yes, and then she said yes, that she believes in it as well. But I think she said it is coming up on a year at this point that she's abstained from having sex, and I was like, okay, cool. So then we see Jessica, and so she's having a conversation with Chris, right? So she was asking Chris because I don't know if they had a conversation previously or if she heard a conversation previously that he had, but he was talking about arranged marriage. So he said his mom and dad, they were both arranged, and his older brother was arranged, right? They even wanted to arrange a marriage for him, but he said that was not for him. And I was like, hey, you know what's for you, and you know what's not for you, right? So after that, we see Aries. So Aries, she has a vibe with Quentin, right? And she's talking about the fact that Quentin is 10 years younger than her. And I don't mean this to be any kind of offensive or shady, but y'all actually look like y'all could be the same age. And you can take that however you want to take it. I'm not saying if they look older or younger, but they look like they could be, if you looked at them sitting down, like they look like they could be about the same age. Because Aries, she doesn't look like, so he's 33. So that means she's 43. And she doesn't look it to me. She doesn't look it. So they look like she looks about, I would say she gives about late 30s, maybe early 40s. But, well, she is her early 40s. 43 is early 40s. But hey, they look like they could be about the same age. So I don't even, if you look at them, you don't, because he doesn't look like a little boy, and she doesn't. And I think that's really what it is. The fact that he doesn't look like he doesn't look like a little bitty boy like Chris. I will say with Chris looks very young. That's someone who looks young. Chris has a child. His face is kind of childlike, right? He looks when I look at Chris, I don't even know how old Chris is because Chris actually give me, maybe late 20s, early 30s. That's what Chris gives me in the face wise. He has a baby face. So yeah, but yeah, we're gonna talk about Quentin in just a little bit. But hey, so Jessica, we see her, and she was talking to Herbert, and she was basically telling Herbert that he gives her ladies man, and he was like, "Nah, he's not a ladies man." So let's pause here and move forward, you guys. So we got two single dates, right? So the first one is Sierra. She went on a date with Habibi, and the moment that she sat down, I would have got my ass right back up and walked right out that motherfucking building. Because this is where I was really saying that Habibi looked like he had smoked something because Habibi looked high in this scene, right? So she tells Habibi that she wants to know more about him. And when he was talking, that's why I said he looks high, because his eyes. You just guys go back and look at the episode and just look at his eyes. But he was like really disrespectful to this woman, like, and I was like, wow. At one point, he was talking about the nails. She had got her nails done, and he was like, he is very judgmental when a woman shows up to a date without her nails being done. I was like, so say what now? Wait. That's very superficial. So you're worried about a woman's nails not being done. Never mind. I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna keep it in my head. So then, he asked her about her family dynamic at one point, right? So she said she talked to her mama every day. He was like, so you really talk to your mama every day? I was like, you don't? When my mom was alive, when I lived with her, it was an everyday thing. Now, when I moved up here to Dallas, at first it was. At first it used to be an everyday thing when I first moved up here to Dallas, but then once I finally got settled, it wasn't an everyday thing. But we wouldn't let too much time go by without talking to each other. Because if I didn't call her, she was calling me, right? So then he was even more disrespectful because I believe her mom's name is Leslie. I think that's what she said her mama's name is. But he kept calling her mama Leslie, and she was like, Ms. Leslie. I was like, exactly. Like, I'm sorry, but even with my best friend, even with my family, my best friend, I would never really call her mama by her first name. Actually, I've never even called her by her name. I say Miss. Her mom's name is Rita. I say Ms. Rita, like, or Mama Rita. But as far as calling her by her actual name, like, dude, that is so disrespectful. Like, you could have called her mama Leslie, Ms. Leslie, but not Leslie. You don't know her mother like that. And then at one point, this man said, your mama ain't shit. I was like, say, what now? Her mama ain't shit. He was like, that's a joke. I'm like, now see, here's the thing. Y'all know how I am. Y'all know if you don't know, I have a dry sense of humor, right? So I don't necessarily laugh at things that I say. Not often. Not often. If I say something that's funny, I don't always laugh, but I try to, right? So that people can know I'm just joking. And even if I am joking and I don't laugh, I'm like, that was a joke. Like, don't take it seriously. But to say to her mama ain't shit, you don't even know this girl's mama. Like I said a few minutes ago with Sierra, when that food came into the restaurant, I would have got my stuff. Viola Davis, I would have been like, Viola Davis, got my stuff, and walked out. I would have been like SpongeBob, got up out of my chair and left. Because, no, sir. So we see Sierra. So Sierra, nope, I'm already talking about Sierra. Lee is next. Lee went on a date with Quentin, right? So Lee is like, she doesn't typically date men who do the same thing that she does, right? And I understand that part. I actually said it last week because I think one of the ladies mentioned it. But they've really hit it off with each other. And, they talk about their profession. And he's like, he wouldn't really feel any type of way about the fact that she, people be liking her posts. There's actually a couple who lives right, I think right around the corner from me. And I actually follow the girl on Instagram. And she's a personal trainer as well. And her fiance is a personal trainer. And they, she get a lot of likes on Instagram, and so does he. So it can happen. It can work, right? Two personal trainers can date. You just have to be. You just got to be secure in your relationship, I would say. So that's that. So let's pause here and go ahead and wrap up the episode, you guys. All right, you guys. So we get to the ladies' lounge, and the ladies' lounge. What the fuck was that? What the hell, right? So so Tommy asked the ladies, who they all are feeling, right? So a few of the ladies said Red, a few of them said Quentin, a few of them said Herbert, right? Tequila. You talking about the fact that Habibi isn't acting. I beg to differ. That man is cosplaying. Everything about that man gives a fraud. It gives, I'm acting. It gives facetious. Even in the scene with, I know at one scene he told, I think it was with Sierra, when he said something to her, he said, I was just being facetious. I'm pretty sure you were being facetious because you give facetious, you give fake, you give fraud, you just give everything in the book, right? So then Tommy asked the ladies who they're not feeling. So some of the ladies said Marvin. Um, Kiera, Kira said Quentin because she doesn't feel that Quentin likes black women, that he more specifically glows for white women. And she's closer to that. And I was like, say what now? But then she cleaned it up. She said, because of my personality. Now, let's, never mind. I was about to unpack that one because, anytime a black person talks, uses their words, enunciates and pronounces the words that you want to say, oh, you're you're acting white. Like, I hate when people do that, but I'm not going to go into it. So, where we at? Where we at? So, Habibi came up. Habibi's name at one point came up, and then Sierra was like, told Tommy that Habibi told her, "Fuck her mama." Now, ma'am, he didn't say "fuck your mama." He said your mama ain't shit. Those words are not synonymous. Those words are not the same. But either way it go, and she said she knew he was. She said he was being funny, but that one being. I mean, that was just rude. But he definitely didn't say "fuck your mama." He said your mama ain't shit. I'm still trying to figure out how that man fixed his lips to say that shit. I'm still trying to figure out how that man fixed his lips. How did he think that that would be funny to say, "Oh, your mama ain't shit"? You don't know my mama. Like, what the hell? So then Janelle chimed in and said that the reason why she has such an issue with him is because when they were at the mixer, this man told her that he was going to suck her titties. I was like, oh, wow. Not suck her titties. That is so disrespectful. So Tommy got in his feelings. Oh, what the fuck? Who? Like, Tommy was talking about the disrespect that anytime these men disrespect these women to come to him. Tommy, let's have a conversation, my dude. There's been plenty of times that these women have been disrespected on Ready to Love, and you've done very little on this situation, right? Let's go back to Liz and old boy from season 4 in Houston, right? Let's go back to there are so many seasons that we can go down the line. There are so many. We can go down the line because I'm DC with It was, oh God, it was one in DC. It was one in Potomac, and I know it was a guy in Potomac and a guy in DC, and I can't remember the guys. One of them, Troy. I can't remember which season Troy was from. And then it was a guy, oh God, I can't remember the other one. But yeah, Tommy, these women have been disrespected on Ready to Love numerous times. It was one guy that bucked up at a woman and left the restaurant. Oh, Zoe from Miami. Zoe, and the way that he came at Sharice. The way that Zoe came at Sharice. You didn't even check that at the fucking reunion, Tommy. So miss me with the bullshit, Tommy. So it is what it is, right? But at the end of the day, what happened is the ladies decided that Habibi's time was up. And I was like, praise the Lord that Habibi's time is up. But yeah, you guys, that's the episode. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. Turn your post notifications on. Share the video, you guys. And until next time, stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Be blessed. And I'll see you guys in the next one.